Jack Morrison stared out the viewport of the diplomatic vessel as it approached the massive space station. The structure hung in space like a glittering snowflake, its many arms extending outward from a central hub. This was Concordia Station, home of the Galactic Council and humanity's first step into a larger community. 2 minutes until docking, Ambassador, said Olivia Wright, his assistant. Her voice trembled slightly with excitement or nerves. Probably both. Jack couldn't blame her. After years of distant communications and careful negotiations, humans were finally meeting the 17 species of the Galactic Council face to face. "How do I look?" Jack asked, smoothing down his formal blue uniform. "Like Earth's perfect representative," Olivia assured him with a smile. "Calm, dignified, and approachable." Greg Henson, their communications specialist, looked up from his tablet. "Remember, Ambassador, initial greetings will be in Standard Galactic, but they've studied English too. The universal translators should handle everything else. And try not to make any sudden movements around the Vril delegates," added Dr. Samantha Powell, their xenoanthropologist. "Their eyes are very sensitive to quick motion. They might see it as threatening." Jack nodded. After months of preparation, his team knew the basics of council etiquette, but there was only so much they could learn from a distance. Some lessons would have to come through experience. The ship shuddered slightly as it connected to the docking port. Colonel Frank Bennett, their military advisor, stood up straighter. "Showtime," he said. As the airlock cycled open, Jack took a deep breath. This moment would be in history books forever. Humanity's official introduction to galactic society. They stepped through into a grand reception hall. The room was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some looked almost human, while others defied easy description. Jack recognized many from briefing materials. The tall, slender Illuvians with their silvery skin, the insect-like Vril with their compound eyes, and at the center, the imposing Zalaxians, whose scaled bodies and elaborate clothing marked them as one of the Council's founding species. A being with purple-tinted skin and 6 fingers on each hand approached. "Ambassador Morrison of Earth, I am Council Coordinator Fila. Welcome to Concordia." Jack bowed slightly. "Thank you, Coordinator. Earth is honored to be here." Fila guided them toward the center of the room where a group of important-looking aliens waited. "May I present the Grand Arbiter of the Zalaxian Empire, Thorn." The Zalaxian was impressive, nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent scales and piercing yellow eyes. Multiple assistants hovered nearby, adjusting his elaborate ceremonial robe. "We extend greetings, human representative," Thorn said in a deep, resonant voice. "The Council has watched your species with interest." Jack prepared his carefully memorized response, but before he could speak, servers appeared with trays of drinks. The liquid in the glasses glowed with a soft blue light. "Ah," said Fila, "the traditional welcome toast. This is starlight nectar, very rare and considered sacred by many Council species." The servers offered glasses to each member of the Earth delegation. Jack took his carefully, noting how everyone in the room seemed to be watching them. Olivia reached for her glass, but her hand trembled. Perhaps it was the gravity, slightly lower than Earth's, or perhaps it was nerves. Her fingers slipped and the glowing blue liquid splashed directly onto Grand Arbiter Thorn's ceremonial robe. The room went completely silent. The Zalaxian's assistants gasped. Thorn himself went rigid, yellow eyes narrowing to slits. "Hi, I'm so sorry," Olivia stammered, reaching for a napkin. "Do not touch me," Thorn said, his voice now cold as space itself. Coordinator Fela stepped between them, her expression grave. "I believe the reception is concluded. The Earth delegation will be escorted to their quarters while the Council discusses this incident." "What just happened?" Frank whispered to Samantha as they were led away. "I don't know," she replied quietly, "but from everyone's reaction, I'd say it was much worse than spilling a drink." Jack glanced back to see the Council members gathering around Thorn, their body language showing alarm and anger. He had a sinking feeling that their first contact had just gone terribly wrong. The Earth delegation sat in their assigned quarters, a spacious but sparse set of rooms with large windows looking out into the vastness of space. No one had spoken to them for hours after the incident. The silence was worse than any shouting. "I've ruined everything," Olivia said, her face pale. She hadn't moved from the edge of her seat in over an hour. "Our first meeting with aliens, and I spill a drink on their leader." "It was an accident," Jack said firmly. "They have to understand that." Colonel Frank paced the room, his military training making him assess their situation like a tactical problem. "We need more information. This reaction seems extreme for a simple spill." Samantha was already working on it. She had connected her tablet to the station's information network. "I'm trying to access their cultural database. There must be something about Solaxian customs that explains this." Greg joined her, his fingers flying across his own device. "I've been analyzing our previous communications with the Council. There's something odd about how they perceive us." He pulled up a series of images. "Look at these. They're from our television broadcasts that reached space." The team gathered around his screen. There were clips from violent action movies, crime dramas, and even reality TV shows where people argued and fought. "They've been watching our entertainment and thinking it's all real," Greg explained. "Based on these signals, they believe humans are naturally aggressive and deceptive." "That explains the guards outside our door," Frank muttered. Samantha suddenly sat up straighter. "I found something in the database about Solaxian customs." Her voice grew serious as she read. "In Solaxian culture, offering the starlight nectar is their most sacred welcoming gesture. The nectar comes from a rare flower that only blooms once every 20 years. Spilling it is." She paused. "It's considered an intentional rejection of peace. It's basically like spitting in someone's face while also burning their flag." Jack closed his eyes briefly. No wonder they reacted that way. "But it was an accident," Olivia protested. "The Zolaxians don't believe in accidents during formal ceremonies." Samantha continued reading. "They think everything done in such settings is deliberate." A soft chime interrupted them as the door slid open. A small blue-skinned alien with large eyes entered. "I am Naira of the Illuvian delegation," she said in perfect English. "I have been sent to inform you that the Council has reached a decision regarding your incident." The humans stood up, tension filling the room. "The Council believes this was a deliberate insult from humanity, a show of disrespect to test our reactions," Naira said. "That's not true," Jack began, but Naira raised a four-fingered hand. "I personally doubt you would be so foolish, but the Council majority has voted. Earth's application to join the galactic community has been rejected. A quarantine boundary will be established around your solar system for the next 200 years. Stunned silence followed her words. 200 years, Greg finally managed. "They're going to isolate our entire species for that long over a spilled drink." "The Council sees patterns in your behavior," Naira explained. "Your entertainment broadcasts show violence and conflict. Your history is filled with wars. And now, this perceived insult to the Grand Arbiter. They believe humans are too unpredictable and potentially dangerous to join galactic society at this time." Jack stepped forward. "There must be some way to fix this. Can we speak to the Council directly?" Naira hesitated. "It would be unprecedented. The decision has been made." "Please," Jack said. "Humanity has waited too long for this moment. We can't let a misunderstanding ruin our future." The Illuvian studied him for a long moment. "There might be one possibility," she finally said. "In Solaxian culture, there is a ritual of apology. It is rarely performed, even among their own kind." "Whatever it is, I'll do it," Jack said immediately. Naira's large eyes widened slightly. "You might reconsider when you learn what it entails. The ritual of atonement is not just words, Ambassador Morrison. It requires you to reveal your true self, your complete truth, to those you have wronged." "What does that mean exactly?" Samantha asked. "It means," Naira said gravely, that the ambassador would need to allow the council to see into his mind and heart. No secrets. No diplomatic masks. Everything exposed. The human delegation sat in silence after Nara left. Her words about the ritual of atonement hung in the air like a heavy cloud. "Let me get this straight," Frank said, breaking the silence. "They want you to let them look inside your mind. That's insane." Jack paced near the window, stars reflecting in his eyes. "If it's our only option to avoid the quarantine, we need to consider it. But we don't even know what technology they use," Greg pointed out. "What if they can copy your memories? What if they get access to Earth's defense plans or other sensitive information?" Samantha had been quiet, reading more about the ritual on her tablet. According to this, the ritual of atonement uses a device called a truth mirror. It doesn't copy thoughts or memories. It creates a projection of your emotional and mental state. Others experience your authentic self, your true nature. "That sounds even worse," Olivia said. "Jack would be completely exposed. And that's exactly why no one ever does it," Samantha added. "Most species consider it too invasive, too personal." Jack stopped pacing. "Request a meeting with the council. I want to propose this officially." "Jack, you can't be serious," Frank objected. "This isn't just about you. You represent all of humanity. Whatever they see in your mind, they'll think it applies to our entire species." "Then I'd better make sure they see something worth respecting," Jack replied. 3 hours later, Jack stood alone before the Galactic Council. The chamber was enormous, with 17 raised platforms arranged in a circle. On each platform sat the representatives of a different alien species. Some looked almost human, others were completely foreign. Masses of tentacles, crystalline structures, or forms of pure energy contained in special suits. In the center of the circle stood the Grand Arbiter Thorn, his scales gleaming under the chamber's lights, the stain from the spilled nectar still visible on his ceremonial robe. "Human Ambassador," Thorn's voice echoed through the chamber. "You requested this audience despite our ruling. Why?" Jack stood straight, trying to appear confident. "Grand Arbiter, members of the council, I come to offer a solution. The incident with the starlight nectar was not an intentional insult, but a genuine accident. To prove our sincerity, I am willing to undergo the Zolaxian ritual of atonement." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Even Thorn's expression showed surprise. "You know what this ritual entails?" the Zolaxian asked. "I understand it will reveal my true self to the council. I accept this." An insectoid being leaned forward from one of the platforms. "This is unprecedented. No non-Zolaxian has ever volunteered for such a ritual." "Humans are full of surprises," Jack said with a small smile. Thorn conferred quietly with his aides, then addressed the council. "The human's offer is unexpected. However, I motion that we accept. If they truly mean no disrespect, the ritual will reveal it. If they harbor deception, we will know that too." The vote was quick. All 17 species agreed to allow the ritual. "Very well," Thorn said. "Ambassador Morrison, you will have 2 of your planet's days to prepare. The ritual will take place here, before the full council." As Jack was escorted back to their quarters, his heart pounded. He had committed to something no human had ever experienced, with consequences that could affect Earth for centuries. When he told his team what had happened, reactions were mixed. "You're really going through with this?" Olivia asked, her voice filled with worry. "I have to," Jack replied. "It's our only chance." "Then we need to prepare you," Samantha said firmly. "I'll try to learn everything I can about this ritual." Frank shook his head. "I still think this is a mistake. But if you're determined to do it, remember you're carrying the future of our entire species on your shoulders." "No pressure," Greg added with a nervous laugh. Jack gazed out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, waiting to join a larger community, or be isolated for generations. Everything depended on what the aliens would see when they looked into a human's heart. Jack sat cross-legged on the floor of their quarters, eyes closed, breathing slowly. Samantha had suggested meditation to help prepare his mind for the ritual. But how could anyone prepare for something no human had ever experienced? The door chimed, and Greg let in their visitor, a Zalaxian cultural attaché named Klavorks. Unlike the Grand Arbiter, Klavorks was smaller, with paler scales and less elaborate clothing. "I am here as ordered by the council," Klavorks said stiffly. It was clear he wasn't happy with this assignment. "I am to explain the ritual process." "Thank you for coming," Samantha said, gesturing to a seat designed for Zalaxian anatomy. "We have many questions." Klavorks remained standing. The ritual of atonement has 3 parts. First, the verbal acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Second, the expression of genuine remorse. Third, the truth of self. "The first 2 sound straightforward enough," Jack said. "It's the third part we need to understand better." The Zalaxian's tail twitched with what might have been annoyance. "The truth of self uses our most sacred technology. A device will connect to your mind and project your consciousness, your true self, to all present." "Will I have any control over what they see?" Jack asked. "No, that is the point. The truth mirror shows what is real, not what you wish to show." Frank, who had been quietly listening from the corner, stepped forward. "This is starting to sound like interrogation technology." Klavorks hissed softly. "It is nothing so crude. We do not seek specific information or memories. The ritual reveals the nature of a being, their values, their intentions, their authentic self." "And what exactly will the council be looking for?" Greg asked. "Truthfulness, whether the incident was truly an accident, whether humans are as violent and deceptive as your broadcasts suggest." Klavorks paused. "No species has ever voluntarily done this ritual for the council. Many find it too revealing." Samantha leaned forward, curious. "Why is that?" "Most species maintain careful diplomatic faces. They show only their best aspects to others. The truth mirror removes this possibility." Jack stood up. "I need to practice the verbal parts of the ritual. Can you help me with the proper phrasing?" For the next several hours, Klavorks drilled Jack on the exact wording of the Zalaxian apology. The language was formal and complex, with subtle tones that the translator struggled to convey. When Klavorks finally left, the team gathered to discuss their progress. "I'm worried," Olivia admitted. "What if they misinterpret something they see in your mind?" Jack ran a hand through his hair. "That's a risk we have to take." "I've been thinking," Samantha said, "maybe we should embrace the transparency of this ritual rather than fear it. If they're going to see the truth of humanity, let's make sure they see all of it, the good and the bad." "What do you mean?" asked Frank. "Jack, instead of just addressing the drink incident, you could acknowledge our species' flaws openly, our history of conflict, our mistakes, but also show them our capacity for growth and change." Greg nodded enthusiastically. "That's brilliant. Most species try to hide their weaknesses. If we acknowledge ours, it might actually impress them." "It's risky," Frank warned. "Admitting weaknesses to a potential adversary goes against all strategic thinking." "But we're not here for war," Jack replied. "We're here for peace, for understanding." He walked to the window, looking out at the stars. "I think Samantha's right. I won't just apologize for the nectar. I'll show them who we really are. All of it." The day before the ritual, Jack spent hours in quiet reflection. He thought about Earth's history, its wars and cruelties, but also its kindness and progress. He thought about his own life, his mistakes and regrets, his hopes and dreams. Tomorrow, the Galactic Council would see it all. They would see the truth of humanity through one human's heart and mind. Jack only hoped it would be enough to change their decision. The day of the ritual arrived. Jack wore his formal diplomatic uniform, freshly pressed. His team walked with him to the council chamber doors, but only Jack would enter. This was his burden to carry alone. "Remember, we're all behind you," Olivia said, squeezing his arm. "Just be yourself," Samantha added. That's the whole point, after all. Frank offered a crisp military nod. Whatever happens in there, Earth is proud of you. Greg smiled nervously. No pressure, but the future of our species rests on your shoulders. Jack laughed despite his anxiety. Thanks for that reminder. The massive doors swung open. Inside, the circular chamber was filled with representatives from all 17 species. The platforms seemed higher today, the space more imposing. In the center stood a strange device, a silver pillar topped with a crystal sphere. Grand Arbiter Cthorn waited beside the device, his yellow eyes fixed on Jack. Ambassador Morrison, are you prepared for the ritual of atonement? Jack stepped forward, his footsteps echoing. I am. Then let us begin. First, you must acknowledge the wrongdoing. Jack took a deep breath. He had practiced the formal Zolaxian words with Orcs, but now he decided to speak from his heart instead. Members of the Galactic Council, I acknowledge that during our welcome ceremony, a member of our delegation spilled sacred starlight nectar on Grand Arbiter Thorn. This caused great offense. Jack paused, then continued. But I wish to acknowledge more than just this incident. I acknowledge that humanity has a history filled with conflict. We have fought wars against each other. We have damaged our own planet. We have often acted out of fear or greed. Murmurs spread through the chamber. This wasn't the standard apology they expected. For the second part of the ritual, Thorn said, his voice betraying slight surprise, you must express genuine remorse. Jack nodded. I express deep remorse for the incident with the starlight nectar. It was not intentional, but it was careless. And I express remorse for humanity's failings as well. We are not a perfect species. We make mistakes, sometimes terrible ones. But what makes us human isn't just our flaws. It's our ability to recognize them, to feel genuine remorse, and to strive to be better. The chamber was completely silent now. Every alien representative leaned forward, watching this unexpected turn in the ritual. You speak strangely for a diplomat, Cthorn observed. Most would try to present only the best image of their people. I'm not here to present an image, Jack replied. I'm here to show you the truth. Cthorn studied him for a long moment. Then we shall proceed to the third part of the ritual, the truth of self. He gestured to the device. Place your hands on the crystal sphere. Jack approached the device. The crystal looked like glass, but felt warm to the touch, almost alive. As he placed his palms on it, it began to glow with a soft blue light. The truth mirror will now connect with your consciousness, Thorn explained. Do not resist it. Allow it to see who you truly are. Jack felt a strange sensation, like fingers gently touching his mind. Then came a pulling feeling, as if something was being drawn out of him. The crystal's glow intensified, pulsing with his heartbeat. Witness the truth of self, Thorn announced to the council. The blue light expanded, filling the chamber. It resolved into images, sounds, and feelings, not just visual displays, but experiences that each council member could feel directly. First came Jack's childhood memories, playing in the rain, fighting with his brother, crying when his dog died. Then came his adolescence, the confusion, the desire to belong, the first taste of love and heartbreak. The council members watched and felt it all. Many shifted uncomfortably, unused to such raw emotion. Others leaned forward, fascinated by this direct experience of human consciousness. The truth mirror moved deeper, revealing Jack's adult years, his failures and triumphs, his doubts about himself and his species, his genuine hope for a peaceful future among the stars. And still the ritual continued, probing deeper into the essence of this human standing before them. The truth mirror glowed brighter as it reached deeper into Jack's consciousness. The council chamber had fallen completely silent. None of the 17 species had expected what they were now experiencing. Through Jack's mind, they felt his love for his family back on Earth. They felt his pride in human achievements, medicine that saved lives, music that stirred the soul, acts of kindness between strangers. But they also felt his shame at human cruelty. Wars fought over resources, discrimination based on differences, damage done to Earth's environment. Most surprising to the Council was the complexity of these emotions. In Jack's mind, and seemingly in all humans, these feelings existed together: pride and shame, hope and fear, love and anger, often at the same time. "Remarkable," whispered an Illuvian council member. "Such contradiction in one mind." A being made of swirling gas particles shifted color in what might have been surprise. How do they function with such opposing emotions? The truth mirror went deeper still. Now it revealed Jack's journey to this moment. His determination to represent Earth well, his fear of failure, his hope for understanding between species. The Council felt his nervousness when he first saw alien beings, his curiosity about their cultures, his genuine desire for friendship rather than just political alliance. When the mirror reached the moment of the spilled nectar, every council member felt Jack's immediate reaction, not diplomatic calculation, but simple human embarrassment and concern for Olivia. The mirror showed more than just Jack's personal life. It revealed humanity's shared experiences, their art expressing both beauty and pain, their science driven by both curiosity and necessity, their history marked by both terrible violence and remarkable compassion. Grand Arbiter Thorn watched with increasing interest. In his thousands of years, he had never seen a consciousness like this. Most advanced species evolved toward greater unity of thought, greater consistency. Humans seemed to move in the opposite direction, embracing complexity and contradiction rather than resolving it. The truth mirror showed how humans changed over time. The Council witnessed, through Jack's understanding, how humans had grown from their mistakes, ending slavery, expanding rights, working to heal their planet. They saw humanity's capacity for self-criticism, for admitting wrongs, for trying to do better. Most striking to the aliens was a uniquely human trait: the ability to look at themselves from the outside, to laugh at their own flaws, to make themselves the subject of their own jokes. And insectoid council members' antennae quivered. They can see themselves as others see them. This is unusual in a young species. After what seemed like hours but was perhaps only minutes, the blue light began to fade. Jack still stood with his hands on the crystal sphere, but his face showed exhaustion. Revealing one's complete self was no small thing. As the light diminished completely, Jack stumbled back from the device. Two attendants moved to help him, but he waved them away, determined to stand on his own. The chamber remained silent. The council members appeared to be processing what they had experienced. Some communicated with each other through subtle gestures or low sounds in their native languages. Others sat completely still, deep in thought. Finally, Grand Arbiter Thorn stepped forward. His yellow eyes studied Jack with new interest. For the first time, there was no coldness in his gaze. "In all my centuries," the Zelaxian said, his voice echoing in the chamber, "I have never witnessed a consciousness like yours. Your species contains contradictions that would tear most minds apart." Jack stood straight despite his weariness. "Those contradictions are what make us human." "Indeed," Thorn replied, "and perhaps they are what make you valuable." A low murmur spread through the chamber. The council was stirring, members turning to each other in quick discussion. "The council will adjourn to consider what we have witnessed," Thorn announced. "Ambassador Morrison, you have completed the ritual of atonement in a way no one expected. Return to your delegation. We will summon you when we have reached our decision." As Jack was escorted from the chamber, he felt both drained and relieved. He had shown them everything, the good and the bad of humanity. Now their fate rested in alien hands. Jack returned to his team, nearly collapsing from exhaustion as the door closed behind him. Olivia and Greg rushed to help him to a chair. His face was pale, his hands trembling slightly. "What happened in there?" Samantha asked, offering him water. Jack took a deep drink before answering. "They saw everything. Not just my thoughts, but my emotions, my memories, Everything that makes me human. And, Frank pressed, how did they react? I'm not sure, Jack admitted. They seemed surprised, maybe even shocked. Thorne said something about our contradictions being valuable. Then they sent me out to deliberate. That could be good or bad, Greg said nervously. All we can do now is wait, Jack replied, closing his eyes. The waiting lasted nearly 12 Earth hours. The team took turns sleeping, though Jack found rest impossible. He kept wondering which aspects of humanity had made the strongest impression: their capacity for violence or their ability to love, their destructive history or their potential for growth. Finally, a chime announced visitors. The door opened to reveal Nyara, the Illuvian who had first told them about the ritual. Ambassador Morrison, she said, her large eyes unreadable. The council requests your presence. Your team may accompany you this time. They followed her through the station's corridors in tense silence. When they entered the council chamber, all 17 representatives were in their places. The truth mirror had been removed from the center of the room. Grand Arbiter Thorne stood in the middle, his scaled face serious as always, but somehow different. The hostility was gone from his posture. Ambassador Morrison of Earth, Thorne's voice filled the chamber. The council has spent many hours discussing what we witnessed in the ritual of atonement. Jack stepped forward, his team standing behind him. We await your decision, Grand Arbiter. Thorne looked at each council member before continuing. In my 500 years serving the council, I have never seen a species like yours. You are divided against yourselves, capable of both terrible destruction and remarkable beauty. You fight wars yet write poetry about peace. You damage your planet yet work to save it. You can be selfish and selfless in the same moment. Jack nodded. As I said, those contradictions make us human. In most species, such contradictions are viewed as weaknesses to be evolved beyond, Thorne said. But we have come to believe that in humans, they may be a strength. Then, to everyone's astonishment, Thorne did something unprecedented. He stepped forward and performed a Zolaxian gesture of deep respect, bowing his head and touching his chest with both hands. The council has reversed its decision. Earth will not be quarantined. Instead, we offer accelerated membership in the galactic community. Gasps came from both the human team and several council members. This was clearly not a unanimous decision. More than that, Thorne continued, we believe humans may serve a special role among us. Your capacity for empathy, for seeing multiple sides of a situation, for acknowledging your own flaws, these traits make you uniquely suited to help mediate disputes between other species. I don't understand, Jack said, stunned by this turn of events. Yesterday you thought we were too dangerous to join your community. A crystalline beam chimed softly from its platform. We were wrong, its translator conveyed. We judged based on incomplete information. Your apology showed us something we had not seen before, Nyara added from her platform. A species that can look clearly at its own flaws may help others see theirs. In this galaxy, Thorne explained, most advanced civilizations evolve toward greater unity of thought. This brings stability, but can also bring rigidity. Humans are different. You contain multitudes within each individual mind. This makes you unpredictable, yes, but also adaptable, creative, and surprisingly wise. Jack looked back at his team, seeing his own amazement reflected in their faces. A simple apology had changed everything. We accept your offer, Jack said, turning back to the council. Earth looks forward to joining the galactic community, not as perfect beings, but as humans, with all our contradictions and capacity for growth. Thorne nodded. Then let it be known throughout the stars. Humanity has joined the Galactic Council, and they have much to teach us all.